Happy Monday, Nasties. Welcome to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. I'm Hernan Salas, joined by Joaquin Gage, and producing the show, the one and only Zachticum. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat. It's going to be an interesting show. Lots to get to. And Texas 780-218-9999. As we're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Fun show today at 1:20. We'll be joined by the birthday boy, Jay Milne, here in studio. We'll talk all things Elks, maybe some Oilers, and we'll dabble in maybe in some Edmonton Wildcats, as he's a big supporter of that junior team. At 2:20 DVD, Derek Van Diest from NHL.com, as some Oiler news that we're going to get to and probably break down for the next 2 hours. And we might hear from Chris Knobloch in the second hour as well. Also in the second hour, it's the EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780. So make sure you're checking in on that so we can get another qualifier for the EST Flyaway to LA. 3 games, NFL, NBA, and of course, the Hockey Club. Gager, how was the weekend? Short?
No, it seemed longer than normal. Maybe it was the start of filling in for Matt Cassian on the pre and post for the first time. That was nice.
Yeah.
It was cool because I didn't when I got in the car afterwards, and after hearing you guys for years and on dog walks and stuff, and hearing you crystal clear since it was nice. It was nice to hear you and Tommy talking again about an Oilers game afterwards, although it was preseason. I really enjoyed it. I showed you a picture of the margarita I was drinking and how much it warmed the cockles of my heart to hear both of you spitting fire about a game that didn't matter. It's great.
Well, I don't know if we were spitting fire, but the Nasties were. They were fired up after the one.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's tough because everyone's still, even fans didn't have enough time to really, decompress after the season. There's half of them are still firing on all cylinders still. They didn't have, they're like Connor. Just doesn't feel right. Not the same summer training program for most fans. They usually have a little bit more time to relax and get ready. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game starting Wednesday night.
Zach, can you put my headphones up a bit, please? Yeah, that's much better. So the Edmonton Oilers roster is set, kind of. Rodrigue, Lavoie, Josh Brown, Kajula were all placed on waivers yesterday. Gager, Noah Phillips sent to Bakersfield. Let's start with the big news of the day. Raphael Lavoie claimed by the Vegas Golden Knights. Everybody losing their mind. The Oilers' prospect pool is thin. What are they going to do? I always look at it this way. Tampa Bay, when they were going to the Cups, they were training their first rounders like it was going out of style for guys like Barkley, Goudreau. Guys, you can't be a Stanley Cup contender and have the best pipeline in the NHL. That just doesn't happen. So let's pump the brakes on Raphael Lavoie here. I think Raphael Lavoie is going to go. Let's look at it right now, Gager. Is he playing ahead of Eichel, Hurdle, Raw, or Howden at center? No. Is he playing ahead of Mark Stone, Alexander Holtz, maybe Brendan Brisson, because I have no idea who that is, but he's not playing over Keegan Colasar.
No, not over old Keegan either. That's what that fourth line. I'm trying to think who would that be. It's Colasar, probably Pearson. I don't know who else, but it's been a very physical presence, that Vegas fourth line. And it's going to be very difficult for him to fit into that lineup. I believe I was looking, I didn't do enough of a deep dive. I'm sorry about this, but just with the rules on waivers, you have to stay up for a certain amount of time if you're claimed. After that period of time, if you have to go, if the Vegas Golden Knights send them down, the original team that picked you, that originally had you, if they pick you back up, you can get sent straight to the minors that way. So Edmonton might look at something. It's kind of, I don't like it as an old player because it happened to one of my good buddies, Ralph Entrenovo. Edmonton, he went to Toronto, played a bit. They sent him down. Edmonton picked him right back up and sent him straight to the minors. Although it was just to Hamilton, just a short little drive. But maybe it's time. Maybe they want to get something for him. That's the reason they pick him up and try a trade or something like that. But look, he's been in the organization for a while. it's very hard lineup to crack. Maybe a new change. Everyone talks about a change of scenery for this player. Maybe that helps. But look, he's going into a team that's trying to win a Stanley Cup too.
Same boat.
Yeah.
And Vegas doesn't have a great pipeline either. Why? Because they're always contending. And for a guy that's played 7 NHL games, yes, he has good numbers in the AHL. But what do you want Raphael Lavoie to be here? Who is he going to play in the top 6? Who is he going to take over? Tell me right now, if you think he should be on the Edmonton Oilers, who is he better than on the top 6? No one. So you want to play him on the 4th line for what, Gage? Or do you get 6-8 minutes a night and not do anything?
Well, I was going to ask you how your weekend went, and obviously not that good. Oh, my gosh.
No, my weekend was great. It was nice and relaxing.
Wow. Someone's fired up for the start of the season. No, I guess they want him 4th line scoring 50 points. that just doesn't happen.
The overreaction yes, I would have loved to kept Raphael Lavoie in the system. He's an interesting prospect. But do you think that the Oilers are going down now because this guy's no longer in the organization? You said it. After 30 days, Vegas can throw him right back into waivers and the Oilers can grab him.
Yeah, and most likely that's what they would do, I think, in that scenario. But you know what? They did some other moves also, Hernan, that a lot of people in the sports media said that wasn't going to happen, and the starting roster from day one with the Edmonton Oilers is kind of what we predicted. Or I don't know if we predicted it, but we thought this is how they should start the season.
Yeah, and a lot were saying there's no way Josh Brown's getting sent down. And I want to say, it's not his fault he was signed to a 3-year deal. This is one that Jeff Jackson and whoever advised them on this, they're at fault here. And Josh Brown, to be fair, had every opportunity to grab that spot. They put him with Kulak for 3 games, and he struggled. He couldn't find his groove. And there's a reason why DMB heard from a source when this was signing that he wasn't a very good player, and other sources as well. So no one should be surprised. Do you feel bad? Of course you do. Look, you sign an NHL deal and you think you're going to be here, and then you get sent to the minors.
Look, that he was signed July 1st, if I'm not mistaken. And Ken Holland was out the door. This wasn't a Ken Holland signing, I don't think, because he had no control at that point. No. This was Stan Bowman wasn't even here, so this was an internal discussion with Jeff Jackson and probably a few other of their scouting department. And look, he had a great summer. Jeff Jackson almost won the Jack Adams first 2 weeks, right? But it's like Ken Holland would always say, you're going to make some blunders. You're not going to hit home runs. It's all about singles and doubles a lot of times with GM. So kind of a miss here, but start of the season, who knows? Again, not a great camp from Josh Brown, but you could say there was a lot of bad camps from Well, I don't want to say bad because they're veterans. They're not going full out. I don't give it a lot of. I don't really care. I don't give it a lot of credence, this whole thing of being at your best in preseason. That usually means there's not a lot left for the regular season when it really matters.
Because no one reached out and grabbed the second pairing spot and the right spot on the third pairing.
No.
It's going to be Emberson because 30 games of NHL experience, all of a sudden this guy's the guy that's going to do it all for the Oilers. And we watched the game together on Friday, Gager. Emberson was, I think Tom said, I haven't noticed him, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
And then all the analytics crew came after the game and said, Nurse and Emberson were fantastic. But if you watch the game, I didn't see that from Nurse. I'm not saying he was terrible, but he had some bad moments in that game.
Well, that one, right, like I'm wondering what Sherwood did, right? I was even talking to a Vancouver fan, and he loved it. He just loved it that Sherwood made Nurse act crazy. Yeah. Like he's all pumped about the Canucks. It's going to be tough hanging out with him all year. But
and then Sherwood after the game was like, "What? I don't even know what he's doing."
Yeah, I know. He was just playing his game. That was a weird thing. And I think, I don't know. I mean, hopefully Darnell Nurse feels a little bit better. This whatever injury it is, like lower body or something, that kind of clears up and he can be full health. And I said this before, like the fact that Connor McDavid's played so many preseason games is mind-boggling to me, that he doesn't feel right. I like the fact that he doesn't feel right. Like stuff feels a little bit off. You know, when you're playing like, ooh, I don't feel good in these games. Of course you don't feel good because it's preseason. Once you get into the regular season, when guys are injured, like your mind switches and you're just worried about the game. Once the actual game that matters takes over, I guarantee Connor McDavid will feel okay.
Yeah, and the pairings are what they are. We're going to give them 10 games. We're not going to be too hard on them.
Are we giving 10 games?
Yes, that's what we said last week. 10 games, we're going to give these 7 defense. Sounds like they're going to sign Travis Dermott. I mean,
they should.
With Josh Brown going down to the minors, clearing waivers, Travis Dermott's going to be your 7th. So you're going to have Elkom with Bouchard, no concerns. Nurse and Eberson are the wild card, the X factor. Because if they can really play well, then that really helps the Oilers. And your third pair is Steady Kulak with Troy Stecher, who a lot of people wanted to see. Loomis says, who would you want at third line left winger more, Janmark or Lavoie? Janmark.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
Because your third line is not a scoring line. Your third line's out there to play some, be even.
I don't care if Janmark has like 5 points through the regular season. I just want that Janmark that you saw in game 83 on, where he was a force, winning battles against third line opposition. That depth that they were great. Even he was getting a lot of chances in the playoffs to score. It was just some guys, their game just is a lot better suited for the playoffs. And I look at Kulak as a perfect example. He goes from I would say a 5'6" defenseman in most playoffs to a guy, a 3-4. It's completely different how he plays. I don't know if it's just getting into playing against the same opposition night in, night out. But I love those guys. And even, everyone's saying, oh, Corey Perry. I just saw something. I don't know who said it, but I would have liked Gagne in that spot. I don't think so. In a 7-game series against teams, you want guys with that ability to be an agitator, get under the skin. Corey Perry still has that skill.
Yeah. And Janmark's a key part of the PK. He obviously, you'd never want to see him in the top 6. And he was there today in the place of Skinner. Him and Skinner swap. We'll get into all that. We still got an hour and 45 minutes to break down the lineup. We're going to hear from the All Blog. I think he said, yeah, we might switch it back tomorrow. Like maybe it's a kick in the pants for Jeff Skinner, who didn't have the most impressive preseason. Maybe it's just that, Gager. But this is where I'm at with Raphael Lavoie. How many Oiler fans have actually watched him play consistently outside of the preseason and the few games he's played here? How many people tune in into Condors games? How do you know he's a better suit in the bottom 6 than a guy like Janmark, than a guy like Perry? Seriously, that's an honest question. I can't tell you that because I don't watch Raphael Lavoie and Bakersfield Condors. I can look at his stats, and yeah, they're pretty impressive. But Gager, again, this is not a guy suited to play in your bottom 6. His skill set is offensive. He's a skill guy, a power play guy.
Yeah, well, you don't know what he is in the NHL, too, right? He could be a bottom 6 player, but this is what is very difficult for young players to find their way in the NHL. Yeah, just because you're a good scorer in the American League does not mean that translates to the NHL. Like he has to, when he played in that bottom 6 role, it looked like he struggled. He's got to figure out how he's going to be successful. And maybe going to a team that's very thin in that top 6 is more beneficial and see if he could play more of that skilled type of game. But look, most lineups he's going into, he's not, unless there's multiple injuries and the cupboards are completely bare, he's going to have to play in that role and work his way up on multiple different types of teams.
Yeah, and if the Oilers are great this year or struggle out of the gate, it's not because of Raphael Lavoie. So it's
because of Drake Kajula.
I get that, yeah, they've lost Holloway. They traded Bourgault. They traded Reed Schaefer. But all those are big what ifs. We won't know for a few years now if those guys are going to be in the NHL. And Raphael Lavoie in Vegas, like Gager said, he's going to a very similar team as the Oilers, a team that's contending for a cup.
Yeah.
And if he plays 60 games there and has, 8 goals and 12 assists, I'll sit here and I'll eat my own words and be like, okay, the Oilers maybe missed on him. But until then, let's just pump the brakes on, the Oilers are doomed because they lost Raphael Lavoie. Gage, we're going to get into Noah Philp eventually. We're going to get into the swap between Skinner and Janmark. We're bringing in Jay Milne here in a couple of minutes to talk Elks. But before that, I I saw a lot of the Elks are eliminated. Okay, it was a fun game. It was an exciting game, but they just couldn't find a way. Turnovers, penalties, and all that. And listen, the quarterback situation here in Edmonton's been talked about for months now. Fair, okay. But for me, when I see stuff online like I did Saturday night and yesterday, that Trey Ford is a cancer in the Edmonton Elks dressing room, I'm here to tell you that is 100% false. I was there. I've been there for 2.5 years. I saw it. I'll tell you this, Trey Ford's an excellent human being. He's an excellent teammate. And guess what? The quarterback's room at the Edmonton Elks, it's a well-oiled machine. They all get along. All 4 guys. You know, Trey sits with McLeod at home in the dressing room, on the road. Do you see them in the warm-ups? Do you see them on the sidelines when they're both looking over the iPad? Stop creating and inventing false narratives because you want to be right about Trey Ford and MBT. I'm not here to talk about, you know, if you want to talk about, well, MBT should be this, that's fine. And you want to talk about, well, Trey didn't want to do packages or anything. Let's see. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about yesterday, a lot of assumptions online that Trey Ford is a cancer in the room. Where are you getting that info from? Where? And stop retweeting and stop saying it if you don't know. Oh, this person told me. Well, come with names then, because I was there and I saw it. And as long as I have this platform, I'm not going to let anyone give these false portrayals of players on the Edmonton Elks, especially when they're false. Okay? So enough with the Trey Ford and the McLeod Bethel Thompson. There's 2 games left. Whichever way they go, discuss that. Sure, it's a great discussion. Should they go with the young guy? Should they go with the older guy? It is what it is. But to sit here and say and assume that Trey Ford is a cancer in the room, that is 100% false, and I'll challenge anyone that says differently.
Jesus. Wow.
All right?
Okay.
Let's get to J Mill. Coming up next, we'll continue the Go Elks talk here on Edmonton Sports Talk, EST afternoons. But first up, here's Zachticum with a sports update.
The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers. Last year in Bakersfield, Lavoie had 28 goals and 50 points in 66 games. Other claims saw Zach Aston Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. Chiefs and Saints close out Week 5 of the NFL, and you could join Lieutenant Eric down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that one. Kickoff goes just after 6. MLB playoffs see the Tigers meeting the Guardians. We're up 1-0 while the Royals visit the Yankees to try and even up the series at 1 apiece. Right after the break, Jay Milne joins EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as newborn 8-pound, 6-ounce Mitch Lewicki. You can picture grown-up Mitch or teenage Mitch or bearded Mitch or whoever you want.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road. Park Mazda does.
122 EST afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zachticum running the board. Just talk some Oilers, some Trey Ford. Todd Gack says, sorry, Hernan, I didn't know that was a requirement to make comments on the internet. No, you can make comments on the internet.
What'd he say?
Just don't assume that someone's a cancer in the room when you don't know. That's all I'm saying. Don't repeat what's someone tweets something out. Don't just assume it's right and tweet it out and go off on it. That's all I'm saying.
What did I miss?
Oh, he's losing it. Yeah.
It's the birthday boy.
Yeah, first of all, clicks.
Clicks
for Jay. It's his birthday. 26 years old. Unbelievable.
26. Who knew? Coming so fast. What happened? Somebody saying that who's a
just a lot online yesterday that Trey Ford was a cancer in the room, and which is false. That's all I said.
How would you know?
It's speculation because they're not playing him.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, that's just easy to say. That's like the easiest for a fan to say, oh, well, he's difficult in the locker room or he's a cancer. Most locker rooms are cancer free.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yep.
And if there are legitimate issues, they're handled pretty early in the season by either, the team handling it or the organization handling it.
And only one quarterback plays, right? So the quarterbacks all get along.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. If you're a quarterback and you're not upset that you're not the starter, then you shouldn't be a quarterback. Every backup quarterback wants to be a starter.
Well, and how can you blame the backup for wanting to take your job? Because if you were in the same position, you'd want to take the other person's job.
Exactly. So
as badly.
Let's not and listen, it's a great debate. I get it. MBT, Trey, who do you go with now that the season's up? I understand that, guys. But don't create that there's this riff and that Trey's this terrible person in the room and him and McLeod don't get along, that's the furthest from the truth.
Right. And I think this stems, though, from the report that came out earlier in the year that said that Trey did not want to be a gimmick quarterback or part of packages. I don't know where that report came from, but I think that's lingered with him throughout the year, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into that. I think I owe it to the Elks to keep those my comments on regarding that to myself because I'm still kind of close to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know 100% if that's correct or incorrect. I don't.
No, and it doesn't really matter. I will say this though. We're going Elks. We're talking Elks.
Yes.
Let's talk Elks. I think that this was a very mismanaged year.
What,
to say the least.
Give me some points. Why? What was the biggest one?
Organizationally, there should have been, Chris Jones probably should have been relieved of his duties earlier. Maybe not totally let go from the team, but stripped of either the head coach or the GM role. Probably stripped of the head coach. Because I still feel like the players that he brought in did make an impact on this team. That they were the right players to bring in. That defense, when it was going, looked pretty darn good. But as a head coach, obviously, it just wasn't working. His readiness and preparedness seemed to be lacking, which ultimately will trickle down and hurt the team. I thought the quarterback situation, and I've been very, from the start, I thought this should have been McLeod Bethel Thompson's shot, given he's a, 400,000 plus quarterback. You can't have him sitting, but Matt's made some good points and said, there was no competition with Trey Ford at camp. It was MBT's job to lose. That's, a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're Trey Ford. But, I really wish that they would have. The big one for me was when Trey Ford had that game against Winnipeg, the first game against Winnipeg. He looked out of sorts. He looked like he'd been off for 3-4 weeks, which he had been.
Yeah.
And they didn't go back and give him a chance to redeem himself or show that, because every athlete's going to have a bad showing. Nobody's perfect. Connor McDavid has off nights, right? Give him the ball. Let him see if, and that's like the time you want to give him the ball when the season's on the line, when you're playing one of the top teams in the CFL, and they went back to MBT. I didn't get. There's too many back and forth. I always say that snip, snap, snip, snap.
So you said they waited too long. Do you think, because after, I think, was it week 3 they had a bye? No, week 4. Do you think that move should have been made there?
It could have been made there. Yeah. To see if there would be and by move, Chris Jones, yes, but it also could have been switching to Trey Ford at that point and saying, look, we just need a spark, because as much as, people like to harp on MBT, I don't think he was necessarily the entire reason why that team got off to an 0-7 start. But there's no denying that when Trey Ford first came in, that seemed to ignite the whole team, as in it ignited the locker room. Because I could imagine that would have been a very divisive locker room. Maybe not outspokenly, but there was definitely Team Trey and Team MBT.
So Jones leaves, goes to Hamilton. You mentioned that he probably should have had a different role with the team. He goes to Hamilton, and all of a sudden their defense becomes way better.
Yeah.
So this is what's puzzling to me. When you look at the defensive roster on both sides, the Elks and the Ticats, who jumps? Does one group jump off the page more? Because everyone talks about, well, Jones brought in all these players, and they were going, they've made a difference. And why couldn't he have had the same type of success when he went to Hamilton on the defensive side as when he was here?
The difference in that comes down to the coordinators. Jason Shivers versus Chris Jones. Chris Jones brings the heat.
Okay.
He likes to blitz.
Okay.
Jason Shivers needs to learn to get more comfortable with that. When the Elks blitzed and when they brought extra bodies, they were able to put pressure on. We just saw it against Trevor Harris last weekend. Mm-hmm. It's just that it's very few and very far between. Whereas a team that can scheme up blitz packages or even get pressure with their front four with twists or different styles of movement, that changes the game so much. Mm-hmm. You never saw Edmonton, I don't think once this year, get pressure on a quarterback with just their front four. Every time they had a sack or a hurry, and for what it's worth, they came out a lot more last week.
Well, they got 2 back-to-back right away, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
But they weren't able to get pressure with just that front four. And I think ultimately, you have a guy like Sean Oakman that was let loose from the Toronto Argonauts early in the season, and lo and behold, he ends up in Edmonton. And here we are all saying, or certainly I was, wow.
Yeah.
What's a guy like this being available? Well, there was a reason for that.
There always is, right? Yeah.
He seemed to be pretty ineffective. Now, that's not to say he can't turn that around, but I think the hope was that they'd get home or to the quarterback a lot more frequently without having to use the blitz, which would be a dream.
Yeah.
But it's just simply not the case with this team. And that's what Chris Jones immediately brought to Hamilton, is blitzing and bringing more different schemes. Blitzing, he uses a lot of corner or halfback pressure as well, because they have athletic linebackers in Hamilton that can get out and cover. So he's got that's his bread and butter for Chris Jones.
Oh, of course,
is a defensive coordinator. He's really good at scheming that. Head coach, not so much.
Yeah. So I thought that game was, I think penalties, obviously the late turnover hurt the Elks. I thought they moved the ball well. The defense was hit and miss for the most part. Now they're playing the last 2 games. There's nothing on the line. They're just playing. A lot of the young guys are going to play for jobs and all that.
There's not even draft picks on the line.
No.
Because they gave that away.
For Zach Mathis, who had a really good game.
I was happy for Zach Mathis.
EST afternoon bump.
Yes.
We had him on Friday.
Good for you guys. That was nice to see.
What do you do here? Let's just say you're Jarius Jackson. What do you do here for these final 2 games? And I ask you, and I like to ask you because you're that guy that's like, I like MBT and I like Trey Ford. Yeah. I see what they both can bring to the team. But now that, the coaches are still coaching for jobs, the players are still playing for jobs as well. But it's a game against Calgary. Both teams are out. And then you're probably getting a Toronto game the last week of the season that's clinched. So they're probably sitting a lot of their starters. How would you handle not just the quarterbacks, but the roster going into these last 2 games?
Well, it's a chance to get a look at players that you maybe haven't seen as much. And I mean, look at what a guy like Mathis, first round draft pick, 6'7", came in and had a pretty darn good showing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is me, there's not a question. I'm putting Trey Ford in, and seeing what he can do, even if it is meaningless. Listen, these are professional athletes. There's still incentive-based contracts in the CFL. Last I checked, so I'm sure there's quite a few guys looking for some scores, looking for some sacks, and just general pride. Just because Calgary and Edmonton are out doesn't mean this is going to be a lackluster game. But it's. I mean, it's too late in my opinion, but at least it would give you some sense of what Trey Ford looks like. And for Trey Ford, this is big time, because if he gets the ball, which I sincerely hope he does, there's zero reason to give MBT the ball. Zero. We know what he is, right? He is a useful quarterback.
Yeah.
He's serviceable, not at the value he's getting paid. That's too much money. If he restructured that or re-signed at a lower rate, you could very well see him back here next year. The question with him is, does he even want to play football anymore? But Trey Ford wants the ball out here because he's a free agent coming up as well. Mm-hmm. So if he looks good to the eyes of the Hamilton Tiger Cats or other suitors in the CFL, and can say, look at these two games I put together, when they, say what you want. Like I said, they're still professional athletes competing against each other. If he can put together a couple good games, it would look good on his resume, and it might, it might help the organization, the Elks organization, that is, to at least try again, but try properly. And then this is, I do not think Trey Ford is 100% the answer. Like
but that's fair, because
he hasn't proven to me at least that he can be the guy that can lead this team to a Grey Cup. Now, I'm not saying he can't do that, next year, but he doesn't have a winning record as a starting quarterback, and everybody keeps comparing him to MBT, who had a 3-7 season here. I get it. It's the take your pick of two quarterbacks that have, I guess underperformed.
And to be fair, it doesn't fall just on Trey and MBT. This is a team game.
Absolutely.
Like when they lost the 3 walk-offs early in the season, like the Toronto game, McLeod was brilliant.
Yep.
Right? The Ottawa game, you're down to 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they needed a stop from the DN.
Yeah, that should have went to overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Hernan, because I would say if you wanted to look at one, whether it's the offense, special teams, or defense, the most problematic facet for the Elks was the defense.
Yeah.
They're very Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
When they were winning, that defense was holding teams to under 21 points, right? But when they were losing, they were giving up massive plays, easy touchdowns, and just too easily. I mean, you think of when Saskatchewan came here in the season opener.
Yeah.
The Elks were up, 22-8?
In the fourth.
Yeah. And they lost that.
Yeah.
How the heck does that happen?
I remember coming out of Slinging Weens, and I was shocked that they lost, because I thought, cool, I got a winning wiener tonight. But
Matt and I went to that game, sat in the press box, left at the start of the fourth quarter, and they were up 22-8, and we got to Century Casino, and it was a game.
Big Uke in the text line. My biggest gripe is the fact that we still do not know what we have in Ford. Is he the guy of the future? Is he the starter? We still don't know, and that's a huge problem. Is that kind of what?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows. And and unfortunately, look, everybody wants to support the local guy, the Canadian kid, the guy that has the flash. There is something about Trey Ford that everybody wants. Myself too. I'd love to see him succeed. I'd love nothing more. But there just hasn't been the chance. And when there was the opportunity, he's still not the starting quarterback. He's not come into one training camp as a guy that's competing for the starting role. Mm-hmm. There's always been another person in front of him, and he was competing for the backup. That you do not get the most out of Trey Ford by doing that. I'm sorry. If you wanted to see what, have him come in next year and compete for the starting job and make it clear.
It's Jay, it's going to be an interesting offseason for the green and gold.
Oh, I don't know what they're going to do. First things first is Larry Thompson needs to find himself a president.
Yes.
a president of the club that can then go out and find himself a GM.
Which is being rumored that the president's close.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder who that is. And I heard them talking about it on the morning show, like the Ed Hervey name came up. And, I think that would be great. I don't know if president would be great. I think he'd be better as a GM if they can shake him free from Hamilton. I don't know.
That's right, because he's the GM in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's got to happen. Find the right president that'll find the right GM, then they'll find the right head coach. I don't think Jarius Jackson is that guy.
Says Sean Fleming, please. That's from Derek from the Hat. I think Sean Fleming's name's always brought up in these, and I have no info on who's in the running or anything like that, which I give kudos to the Elks because they've kept this pretty tight-lipped, which is hard to do in this day and age in sports, right? Like,
Let's ask Murray. We should ask Murray before this morning.
he was here
He
on the
seems to have the pulse
so.
of this team before anybody else does.
No doubt.
Sean Fleming put his hand up. I forget what timeline it was when they were looking for a new president, and they didn't. He said, "Yeah, I'll do it," and they passed him up. From what I understand, he's not interested in doing that now.
Big Maple says, my recommendation was glue guy for Elks Prez, Chris Morris for head coach. Yeeps 31 says Ricky Ray for president. And this one says, it's going to be interesting because the Prez is going to come in. Then he's got to decide what he wants to do for GM
It's a
and
process.
head coach.
Yeah. Now, the president's going to come in with a short list of GMs. Just know that. There's not like, well, we're open to accepting No. This president that is being chosen has probably 2 or 3 candidates that are going to be up for interview right away. Yeah. I see this being a completely different front, organization from that standpoint all the way down to the head coach.
It has to be clear. What do they call that? A complete financial audit from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And reevaluating, because you can't. I don't know, with how it went this year, it's completely disappointing to me. I got wrapped up in Elks fever. I was rutting, as they say. I was kind of let down by the end of it.
You know what? But just think of what you just said. That alone, to me, makes this a successful campaign for this team. Look at the things that happened here. There was a sellout in the bottom bowl of Commonwealth Stadium. That hasn't happened in a long time. Larry Thompson announced as the new private owner of this football club. A lot of positives to build on, but yes, I think when something like this happens, it's best just to stop the bleeding right away, cauterize everything, and clean house.
Yep.
I like Jarius Jackson as an offense coordinator. I don't know if there was just too much inconsistency with that team when they should be up for big games and they just came out flat. Ultimately, that does fall on the head coach.
Redbeard's in saying Kuminga.
What?
I don't know. I don't know what this
is.
This
a soccer reference?
I don't know.
Or is it?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was
hoping you got soccer guys.
Redbeard.
Please
you
explain.
text bombs, but
Who is
explain
Kuminga?
this.
How many pints is Red Beer in right now?
I love following his
ones.
drinking escapades.
Any plans for the big birthday tonight? It's a Monday, but
It's a Monday, yeah. No, I had the whole family over last night. My parents, my brothers, my sister, and then tonight we're actually going to be taking my daughter to basketball.
Okay.
But it's an hour and a half practice, so I'm going to go with my wife, and we're gonna stop in somewhere in Terwilliger. Gager was giving me a couple recos, so we're gonna go have some chicken wings and beer. I think.
Yeah.
That to me is, I'm happy.
Solid.
Yeah. Chicken wings, beer. That's a good day.
An hour and a half practice?
Yeah.
Talking about
Hardcore.
practice?
You drink 6 beers in that time.
That's what I mean.
Those are rookie numbers.
You can consume a lot of beers of that. Yeah. Well, Jay, thank you for taking the time. I know you got to get ready. You guys got an amazing show. I'm not going to ruin it because I want it to be a surprise. But
go ahead. Ruin it.
The Reed Wilkins show with Jay Milne is going to be fantastic today. They got some killer guests.
I'll say this. I bet you, I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about the golden goal scored by Sidney Crosby.
Okay. Wow.
That's awesome.
I believe in the business they call that a teaser.
A zing. All right, J Milne, thanks so much. Make sure to send your happy birthday to J Milne, not only on the Nasty Chat, but on Twitter as well. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for
Coming
having me.
up next, me and Gager and I, proper grammar.
Good job.
We'll continue to
catch.
talk Edmonton Oilers, Edmonton Elks, and we'll recap some NFL action as well. That's all coming up here on EST Afternoons. But first up, here's Zach with a sports update.
Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Raphael Lavoie has been claimed by the Golden Knights off waivers, and in the AHL last year, Lavoie potted 50 points in 66 games for the Condors. Jesper Wallstedt has signed a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million. Wallstedt of the Minnesota Wild suited up in 45 AHL games last season. For baseball, it's Game 2 of the Division Series with the Tigers facing the Guardians and the Royals meeting the Yankees in New York. Texans' Nico Collins' injury status has changed from day to day to week. Collins suffered a hamstring injury midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Monday Night Football action has the Chiefs against the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. Right after the break, EST Afternoons continues. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
It's 1:45 here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zachticum. Got 47 thumbs up. Let's get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers, Gage. Rookie numbers. Rookie numbers. Big shout out to the birthday boy, J Milne, today as he joined us to talk all things Elks. Still coming up, we got the EST Flyaway to LA, proudly presented by the 780. And, of course, our buddy DVD, Derek Van Diest from NHL.com at 2:20. Keep the messages coming on the Nasty Chat and text us at 780-218-9999. If you want to hang out with Lieutenant Eric, he will be down at Century Casino on Fort Road today for New Orleans Saints at Kansas City Chiefs. Go say hi to our own Lieutenant Eric, because he's down there every Monday and Thursday for some NFL actions. Gager, let's get back to the Oilers here. Interesting today in practice lines. Janmark switch with Skinner. Do you read too much into that, or do you think it's just kind of like a kick in the pants for Jeff Skinner?
I mean, I don't know. It could be. It didn't look like he took a couple hard strides at all. When you want to see something from your from a coaching staff, looking at a player who's supposed to come in here and be a huge component to being a difference maker in certain games down the stretch, the stretch of a regular season and playoffs, hopefully for the Oilers. I saw nothing There was maybe one or two good passes, but I want to see a little bit more get up and go. And I mean, you could probably, if you were to watch all those games, there wasn't a lot of hard strides by most of the top end guys anyways, right? So, but again, it's not a switch, I think, but the first game of the season kind of, there is the possibility of a little, so you just get so jacked up. The whole building will be fired up. It's the start of a new season. Let's see what happens, but maybe just, you know what, Skinner, get the button gear and show me something resembling anything.
Gage, let's look ahead to Wednesday. Let's just say they lose. Okay, let's just say it's a 2-goal game, 4-2 Winnipeg. How much is going to be brought up to the point that they didn't look sharp in the preseason, didn't look like they were going at 80, 90% or whatever you want to place it at? How much do you think that's going to be brought up if they do drop that game?
It will be, but again, I don't put a lot of. If this was a average age team of under 25, maybe then I'd say something. But you look at the age of most of the NH, like the players on the Oilers. I mean, you're seeing upwards. You got all in the 30s almost, right, or just under. This is a very veteran-based lineup. No, I don't put anything into that. These guys have been in the league, lots of them, for a lot of games. There's an understanding of what it takes to do it in the regular season, and now a lot more with experience of what it takes to do it in the playoffs too.
Yeah, and they went on a long run, and I think Knobloch said it after the game on Friday, Gager, where he said, we're coming from playing in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final to preseason hockey. It's an enormous difference.
This is one thing. When I played in Sweden, which was really weird because we lost in the semifinals, and I was heartbroken. We were a good team. I thought we had a chance to win the championships in Sweden, and I remember we had to practice afterwards, just because, I don't know, something with the contracts. And in Sweden, it's a little bit different because you get paid throughout the whole year. So guys will show up halfway and they'll have practices and things like that. Anyways, but we were practicing after, the intensity and, the emotion of the playoffs, and then trying to have a practice. There was zero. Yeah. Absolute. I hated it. I couldn't believe we were doing it. I just wanted to get off the ice because guys weren't trying, and everyone's toe dragging everyone. If I wanted to play summer hockey or what, it just seemed so weird to have to practice after you were done for the season. We had 2 practices left or something like that. So that's kind of, I think, what the Oilers were doing it doesn't. This is so weird. We're removed just by a few months of playing where it meant everything to us, since essentially you put on skates and grabbed a stick to this doesn't matter. Yeah, I think we're going to see a much different Edmonton Oilers team on Wednesday. But again, I think we were talking about it, how even in preseason, I was saying, you know what? The last 2 games, Vancouver looked really good.
Yeah.
But I really, now that the Oilers went all the way, and again, it's not much difference. They're still a favorite to win the Stanley Cup. There's no easy nights.
No.
Even when they're playing the bottom feeders are going, you know what? These are supposed to be the Stanley Cup champions. I want to show, I got to bring my game, or these guys should crush us. So there's no easy games, I don't think, for the Edmonton Oilers, because everyone's going to bring their best.
They're circled on everybody's schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having McDavid and having Draisaitl, it's just, even when they weren't cup contenders, but playoff contenders, and sometimes missing out on the playoffs, Gager, the Oilers were always a big matchup because of who they have.
Yeah.
Their top 2 dogs, right? So how upset would you be come Wednesday that Janmark starts on the second line? Because we've seen him moonlight there and it doesn't go well.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't care what he does. I just care what he looks like in the playoffs. He was up with McDavid a while there and just seemed to not be able to finish, right? And even, I think he had one good chance. I forget who saved that. It was a really good save. Anyway, no, I think this is just a shot across the bow, so to speak, I think, when the as the Navy people say to Skinner, to say, hey, look, you're here for a reason. This isn't a country club. This isn't Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to the playoffs here. So get your stuff in order and let's get going.
Loomis says, I understand this mindset, but it's super frustrating because this thought has essentially always been there and they never learn. This is a good point too, but I can't remember their last season's preseason. I don't know if they won more than they lost. I know they all came in early for the captain's gate. That didn't help anything.
No, that was a complete joke. I've said this before. I think being here that early for captain's skates can hurt you more than ever. I think maybe a few times on the ice, get everyone together, go do some sort of team bonding, family building things off the ice. I mean, we're in Edmonton. You're able to get to some pretty cool places at that time of year to do some outdoorsy off ice training and get everyone involved. I think, but what do I know? I was never invited to captain's skates. Maybe I'm just upset.
They were 5-2-1 or something close to that last preseason. So, I mean, if you would have tuned into the post-game show on Friday, it was like the end of the world because we lost that game. I will say this, though. Like, I think Vancouver, I still think they are going to take a step back, but that team's got some jam.
I don't think they're going to take a step back at all, man.
When I say step back, I mean like maybe 4 points less than they had last year or 6 points, something like that. Because, and I know it's just preseason, but when they get Dakota back and they have that Kiefer Sherwood, they have Hoglander, they have Connor Garland, they have some skill, JT Miller. Like, they're hard to play against.
They're built to win, man.
Yeah,
and I know we talked about Demko, but old Shelovs looked pretty solid in that game. He's a really good goaltender. Not quite Demko level, but I think he is good enough that he can provide them with the goaltending that they need to be successful. I like their D. I think their D are really good.
Really good,
And we were talking, like Quinn Hughes, how he had that great chance where he came off the blue line and just, it's so hard. You saw all the Edmonton guys just in, what happened? Where do we go? Like they looked completely out of sorts, trying to figure out the switches right, who to take. It's the Canucks are a really good team that I believe that they will be fighting for that top spot in the Pacific Division with Vegas and Edmonton.
Yeah, those are the three teams 100%. And you make a good point. Shelovs has looked, I mean, they have two NHL goaltenders, Shelovs and Lankinen. Just want to, so people are asking about what happens. Easy, great handle. I love Easy. Anyways, there's no help coming if someone gets hurt. No one is pushing. Well, I think up front you got three guys that are going to get called up if there's injuries, Gager. And let me see if you agree with me. Drake Kajula.
Yeah.
Noah Philp. And Matt Savoy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that ranking is pretty good.
I wouldn't say in that order, but
I would.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I like the order. Just because I want Philp to, if it works out that way, I would see him at the end of the year after a very successful season, right? Just coming in full of himself. Kajuli, arguably, he knows how to play at the NHL. He was very evident throughout that whole preseason. Savoy, yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah, I'm saying probably third. That's if the Oilers really fall into trouble. Noah Philp, are you okay with him starting in Baco? I think I am.
We talked about this too. I think that where for what you saw with this player, of what he's the type of player that you look at and you're ooh, what's he going to turn into? And you look at the crystal ball, right? But the path for him to get to the player that I think everyone thinks he could become begins with him going down to the minors and developing his game. Dominate like that. Even that last game against Vancouver, going up against real experienced face-off guys, he got torn apart.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the one thing. Oh, okay. There's that side of, because that side of his game has to be stellar, right? He has to hover around closer to 50%. He can't be getting eaten up like that, especially on the road. And I think that's a skill that he can probably start refining down in Bakersfield. But hopefully, like I said, that progression, getting into that third line center role that can provide some offense, but also just be very responsible defensively. He's one reason that I would watch some Bakersfield Condor games just to see how he's doing.
He'll be up here eventually.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get games. Damon Nako and Aiden O'Neill say James Hamlin as well. Yeah, that's probably the 4. James Hamlin, sorry, I totally forgot about him. Dash from Heavy Hockey says, I think the call-up kind of depends on who gets hurt and who's needing replacement. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If it's, then you're probably bumping some of the guys that are already here up, like a Connor Brown, because Connor Brown can moonlight in your top 6.
See, yeah. That's when it's probably, that's why we say Kajula is going to be that guy that you bring up, because you're usually going to move some pieces around that are already here, but if he's break glass in case of.
Yeah. Brett B says, I would like Podkolzin to get a look in the top 9 over Janmark. That's fair. Northside Sandwich says, if someone in the top 6 gets hurt, I think Browner or Enrique move up and then call up replaces them. But yeah, that's what we're just saying.
That's what we're saying, right?
Because you and Corey Perry can moonlight up there for a short period of time. Probably better suited to play with Draisaitl than McDavid just because of the speed. But the Oilers have options in it. And I know people are upset about Raphael Lavoie, but we just named 4: Drake Kajula, Noel Phil, Matt Savoy, and James Hamlin. 4 guys that can step into your lineup, and because 2 of them have played NHL games. Nolan, Philip, and Savoy are the interesting ones, but they both showed well. I think Savoy was just, hey, let's get him down there. He's still young. Let's see what he can do. Let's get him some confidence. So I think that's why he was sent down. So in Noah Philip, it's better for him to get top 6 minutes for a month down there, Gager. And if Derek Ryan or anyone else is struggling or you run into injuries, he's your first call up. Great conversation throughout the show so far today. It's amazing what a guy getting picked off waivers does.
Well, I'm just glad you calmed down from the first segment there. It's nice.
Yeah, that was just, let's just move on. Coming up in the second hour, we're going to qualify someone for the EST Flyaway to LA, proudly presented by the 780. We'll also be joined by Derek Van Diest. We'll continue the Oiler talk. We'll talk some NFL as well as DVD's team, the Cowboys, with a excellent victory last night in the dying seconds on the last play of the game, which was not of the game. Sorry, it was a 4th down with about, 20 seconds left or something like that? Something like that.
It's 20 seconds left.
Yeah. So we'll get to all that coming up here on Hour 2 of EST Afternoons. That's all coming up next here on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers. Last year in Bakersfield, Lavoie had 28 goals and 50 points in 66 games. Other claims saw Zach Aston Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. In Minnesota, the Wild have extended goaltender Jesper Wallstedt to a 2-year, $4.4 million deal. Wallstedt spent most of last year in the AHL, playing 3 games with the big club. Texans' Nico Collins' injury status has changed from day to day to week. Collins suffered a hamstring injury midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Chiefs Saints tonight close out week 5 of the NFL, where you could join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for kickoff just after 6. MLB playoffs see the Tigers meeting the Guardians, who are up 1-0, while the Royals visit the Yankees to try and even up the series at 1 apiece. Right now, EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continues. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up to date.
It's hour 2 of EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, static free since 23. Coming to you live from the William Huff studios here in the west end of the city. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and Zachticum on the 1 and 2s here, keeping the show on track. Just ahead of the EST Flyway to LA, presented by the 780 and DVD from NHL.com. We'll continue to talk about Raphael Lavoie, the switch at the second and third line left wing today, and Josh Brown going to the minors, which is something that many thought wouldn't happen, but it did.
It did. Tube Socks in. At what point will we see fan backlash regarding these kinds of prices? Nothing until they start losing, if they do.
If you compare it to the Utah price.
I remember back in the day going to Oilers games in at Northlands, Rexall, whatever, Skyreach, whatever you want to call it. And I remember going in, and this guy had one of those big, huge North Face jackets.
Yeah.
Like he looked like Costanza with the Gore-Tex, right? Just huge. I was like, man. And it was a little bit cooler back then, but he goes and sits down in his seat and is with all his buddies. And this is before like metal detectors and stuff like that, right? So he comes in and he's like right in the middle, and is like 2 buddies on each side. And back then the Oilers had those spears with you could buy them, like the Oilers symbol was on the. So he probably, I want to say he had 40 beers in that jacket, because he just kept pulling them out and giving them to his buddies to decrease the price of beers at the games. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do that anymore. But plastic Mickeys, I guess, is what you're going with.
Yeah, if you can get through the metal.
You need a plastic Mickey, and then you're golden.
The good old days, Gager.
The good old days.
The good old days. Yeah. Prices are a little high, but hey, it's always sold out, so it can't be that bad.
You know what? Everything tastes better with a win, even if it costs you $50.
Exactly. Hey, you want to do some NFL?
Yeah, why not?
Where do you want to start?
I watched. I was completely fascinated. Bengals, Ravens.
What a game!
What a game!
Oh, jeez.
Like, those 2 quarterbacks are so good. And then that unfortunate at the end goes to overtime, and Derrick Henry, that was the game. He 100 rushing TDs for him in his career. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And then that 60-yard run to seal it, just I thought I was hoping he kind of scored there or whatever, just to seal it. But
well, the guy that tackled him, like, that was like the last ditch. Just got
throw my body at the back of his knees and calves and hope for the best is basically what that was. Fantastic. Burrow looked great. Obviously, Lamar, awesome. Unfortunate for I guess the Bengals, though. I know I've talked about them a little bit, but from what Glue Guys said and what I've kind of looked at is their defense can't stop anything. They're a wet paper bag, and no more evidence than Derrick Henry at the most crucial time, just running for 60 and getting into field goal range.
Just seems like for the Bengals, because they should have won that game.
Yeah,
it just seems like it's one of those years, man. That nothing's gonna go their way. because when you put up, 38, you probably should win an NFL game. For me, Kansas City's looking to stay undefeated. They will join the Minnesota Vikings as the only teams undefeated, which is unreal. That game was in, where was it? It's over in Europe. Caleb Williams, big game for the Chicago Bears, but it was the Carolina Panthers. My Niners blew it again, Gager.
Yeah.
Blew it again with a late fumble. Their kicker got hurt in the first half, so they couldn't kick field goals in the second half.
Oh.
Yeah, so at the end of the first half, their kicker got hurt, and they attempted a 26-yarder that their punter hit, but it was very wobbly and sketchy. So I think in the second half, they didn't trust anything unless it was like 20 yards and in.
Ayuk made some good catches.
He was good.
He's getting better here. But they need McCaffrey to get. I mean, for a guy to leave at the start of the season for Oktoberfest, come on, time for him to get back from Germany here. I know it's fun.
And then they got the ball back with like 1:40 or a little bit less, and Purdy throws it was deflected at the line, interception, game over. Dallas Steelers. I gotta be honest. The Steelers are probably one of the worst, most boring team to watch. Like any game they're in, it's like it puts me to sleep. But good on Dak, 4th down, and what a pass under pressure.
He didn't have the best game either.
He didn't.
You know, he grind that one out. That's for sure. That can be a character one for Dak, I think, because he was not at the best of his abilities at all in that game.
Yeah, I know. But
hey, what do you think about the Browns with Deshaun Watson? Like,
he was terrible.
Yeah, but leaving, like, with that call at the end. Like, I was trying to find out what happened there, but he's terrible.
And the coach after the game says, we're sticking with them. I mean, you're paying the guy so much money, but he's like Gage, and all credit to Washington. Like, Washington's legit, man.
Mm-hmm.
That Jaden Daniels is good, but like the Cleveland offense is probably some of the worst offensive football I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like, it is bad. And I don't know if their backup's any better, but yeah, like, I don't know what's going on there with Deshaun Watson. I know a lot of people are not probably too upset that he's struggling mightily right now.
No, he's not. His fan club isn't that big.
No. Houston, big win over Buffalo, 23-20. I think that's Buffalo's second loss in a row. And then the big one tonight, Kansas City, New Orleans. Is it as easy as saying it's the Chiefs?
They got some injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to pick Mahomes. He just finds a way, you know, and the thing is they haven't played great yet too. So
that's the scary part.
That's the real scary part. That,
like, New Orleans came in like a house on fire, but they were playing not the best teams. So it's going to be.
They let that game in Dallas was second week or whatever. They looked. I was like, oh my gosh, are these guys for? But then they've cooled off. But like we just mentioned with the Oilers, you're probably going to get the Saints best because of who they're matched up against tonight.
And on a short week, my Niners, because they're the Thursday nighter in Seattle, divisional game.
That'll be good.
And you know, if they win, they're in first in their division.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Did your team win out there? Your favorite team? Zach? Oh, you're a Seahawks. You lost to Danny Dimes, man.
That was brutal. I mean, I didn't have my eyes glued on the screen the entire time, but anytime I popped over, it was like the Giants were just holding them there, and the Seahawks defense just couldn't get to them or get to DJ at all. Like, it was poor. And I talked to my buddy who's a Giants fan, and he was like, yeah, that's what Daniel Jones is supposed to look like every time. And I'm like, well, he doesn't. And I'm surprised that.
So we're friends off on like Thursday. I'm a Niners guy. You're a Seahawks.
Wow.
That's going to be awkward.
It's going to be good.
We'll be in here.
Engager's kind of. You said you kind of want to be a Niners fan.
Yeah, no. I think I'm a Cincinnati fan. Because I'm more interested in to see how that team goes. So it's just going to be, which is weird because I hated Chris Collinsworth as a kid. But
was he good?
Oh, he was really good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was deadly. Because at that point, I had jumped on my father's Niners bandwagon because he grew up in the Bay Area, right? So, and then that one Super Bowl against Cincinnati, Boomer Esiason and Joe Montana, I think, and it was back and forth. And I want to say that the Niners a game-winning drive to win that Super Bowl. And Chris Collinsworth was a beast. He caught everything. And he was tall, right? So he'd just lob it up there and he would jump over everyone. He was a phenomenal receiver.
I like him as an analyst.
He's good.
I've always have. Yeah. He's got good stories. And you and YouTube Trev are Bengals fans. I think YouTube Trev picked the Bengals too.
Oh, I might have to switch them.
Because of their helmets. Bronco Nick says, how about my Broncos defense? Yeah. Pick 6 for 100 yards. That was good. And Bo Nick's looking a lot more comfortable. They pick up a win over the Raiders. I want to get back to the CFL. Did you know, Gager and Zachticum, that this is the first time since 1945 that both Alberta teams will miss the playoffs?
Yeah.
How crazy.
Yeah, I saw that. That was weird. That's amazing, that run.
That's because it was Edmonton first because they had the dynasties and all that. And then Calgary kind of took over in the 90s. And this is the first time Calgary's missing the playoffs, Gager, since 2004.
Wow.
Yeah. So both teams in for a very interesting offseason.
Yeah, both have to get a lot better this offseason. I look to the Elks to just completely clean house here.
And they play Calgary on Saturday at 1 p.m. Dusty's doing that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's a preseason game.
As a pro athlete, Gager, it's different sport, but it's the same meaning. Like when you're out, and let's say in hockey, you're out in March, and you got a month left, and you're not playing for playoffs or positioning. Is it hard for an athlete, or do you just have to be a pro and be like, we got to keep hammering this out? Because we were talking about baseball the other day. Some teams are out by June, and they got to play 4 more months, knowing that they're not going to go to the playoffs.
I think it varies for where you are in your career as an athlete, too. Yeah. Like young guys are going to be, hung a little bit more of a gur on because they're trying to either solidify a position for next year. It's kind of a showcase. This is where there was talking, you might see guys deviating from the whole game plan for personal stats and things like that. I always found it was brutal, man, because you were trying to prepare, but when it doesn't mean anything, the games that meant something is if you got into a game against a team that was fighting for their lives, right? Because that would up the ante a little bit. And those were a little bit. At least there was something to play for, something to get you motivated, like Michael Jordan. You'd have to tell yourself that these guys were talking about your mom in the dressing room. You had anything that you could do to get yourself. But it sucks. Yeah. It really sucks. Thank God they only have 2 left. Yeah, I've been on hockey teams when you've had like 20 games left, and there was you were mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, because you make a great point, because like for a guy like Lucius Purifoy, who's in his 9th season, it's different than Cordell Jackson, who's in his rookie season.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's it's going to be interesting to see how both teams, I think, handle the quarterback, because Jake Mayer got pulled last week for Matthew Schill. So it's going to be interesting to see who plays, if they're going to give younger guys an opportunity and all that. Brendan Mann says, in fairness, about 90% of the time, the West Division only had 4 teams with 2 in Alberta. But yes, it's a pretty shocking stat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is, because it's you'd think both teams would be. I mean, you've had 5 teams for a while now in the West, so it's definitely interesting. And hopefully sooner rather than later, Gager, we can have both these teams at the top, because it's great when they're at the top.
Yeah. Are you watching any baseball at all?
I am.
Yeah.
Like, I love the Dodgers-Padres series.
Yeah, me too.
Tatis going like this to the fans. Like, keep it coming. The Phillies-Mets series has been unreal. Like, 9th inning drama.
Yeah.
I despise the Yankees. I just want them to lose, but they've been fun, man.
A lot of fun. This is baseball. I'm a fair weather baseball guy, but when you get into the lineups and see what Ohtani did and stuff, and then the Padres come back 10-2, this is the boys of fall are back in full force here.
I like tuning in around the 7th inning. Because that's when it gets dicey, right? Like that's when
every pitch means something. It's
Did you see the play yesterday? Mookie Betts hits it, so the outfielder runs.
Yeah.
It's in the crowd. He grabs it, but no one knows he does, and he kind of hides it and just stands there and starts dancing. Mookie Betts is circling the bases, going like this, and then he lifts the glove up like he has it. That's great. It was fantastic. And those teams do not like each other.
No.
Just go on the X machine and watch all the fights at the stadium. All right, it's time to get to the EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780. 780 is a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations: Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. Are you ready for the keyword? 780-218-9999. Now I know why people were texting in Kuminga.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was like, who's Kuminga? I thought that was the new president of the Elks. I'm not sure.
So the keyword is, and Zach will call you during the break, just before we get Derek Van Diest on, is stars. Stars is the keyword. 780-218-9999. We'll talk to our qualifier and Derek Van Diest from NHL.com after the break. But first up, here's Zachticum with a sports update.
Raphael Lavoie has been claimed by the Golden Knights off of waivers, while Drake Caggiula, Josh Brown, and Olivier Rodriguez went unclaimed and report back to the Bakersfield Condors. Jesper Wallstedt has signed a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million with the Minnesota Wild. Wallstedt last season suited up in 45 AHL games. For baseball, it's Game 2 of the Division Series with the Tigers facing the Guardians and the Royals meeting the Yankees in New York. In the NFL, Texans' Nico Collins has suffered a hamstring injury and is listed as week-to-week. Collins came off the field midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Monday Night Football action has the Chiefs against the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. Right after the break, Derek Van Diest from NHL.com joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. The Ranch Golf.
It's 2:21 here on EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk, coming to you live from the William Huff Studios. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas. We're just ahead of DVD, who's waiting patiently for us as Zach gets a qualifier on the line here. And Yeah. You can qualify to win a nice trip in December.
Maybe we can get in. Maybe DVD's got some insight, but $1.8 million in projected cap space now with the Oilers moves, so freed up a little bit. Obviously, looks like there could be a signing here, right? With
Travis Dermott,
with old Travis. So
and it's going to be minimum, right? Like league. It's not going to be high.
I mean, they've kind of got him dead to rights here. Like it's very difficult to go make another team at this point, right? Like where are you going to go? Unless he's going to go play in the American League or something like that and sign an American League deal. But
I think he was on the ice with the team today.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's probably, he's got to sign by the start of the season here. So I don't know the exact rules of it, but you have to be under contract, I think.
Maybe DVD has all the insight. We're also going to ask him how Lavoie joining Vegas impacts the Oilers.
Yeah.
Talk about the swap at left wing from the second to third line. The Josh Brown going on waivers. Cleared. He's going to go to Baco. And maybe some Elks. And he's a big Cowboys guy, so we got to get we got to get his take on what happened last night in the Sunday night. That was delayed for a while, eh? That was a late game out east.
Very late.
Very late. And good on the panel because, man, they didn't miss a beat. And when I was with the Elks, like rain delays and all that, they're always like, hey, can we interview someone in the direct? Can we come in there? And like, I remember last time the team was like, no, we're not doing any. Everybody just wants to kind of chill and relax. So we got our qualifier, Zach.
Yeah, we got Menopause Nick on the line.
Oh, Menopause Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Hey, Hernan and Joaquin.
I love it. Nick, congratulations. You're a qualifier to kick off the week. Flight for 2 to LA with hotel and rental car. The trip is December 26th through December 29th. You'll get to watch Clippers, Warriors, Rams, Cardinals, and the Edmonton Hockey Club either in Anaheim or LA. And the prize will be given away on November 29th. Menopause Nick, who would you take if you win this trip?
Well, I want to take my wife, but she will have just given birth like 2 months prior to our son. So hopefully her, but we'll see.
Nice. And have you watched the good old Oil on the road?
Oh, yeah. Once I saw them in Florida.
Oh, okay.
In like 2012.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, Nick. Well, all the best and all the best with the new baby on the way. And hopefully the boys are calling you on November 29th.
Perfect. I hope to hear that call.
All right. Menopause Nick, our qualifier here on the Monday for texting in the word stars. The EST Flyaway is proudly presented by the 780. The 780 is a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. And we're going to bring in our good buddy from NHL.com. He's been waiting patiently. Derek Van Diest, DVD. How you doing, my friend, after that big Cowboys win?
Hey, guys. How's it doing? I'm doing great. That was a big win for the Cowboys. They're a frustrating team to watch, to be honest with you. The play calling is so bad. 3rd and 1, and they drop back to try and pass. They got the ball on the goal line, and they fumble it, and they're lucky they got it back. It's the play calling is infuriating for me because they're trying to be too cute sometimes, trying to be too smart. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Let them throw the ball. Don't get too cute. But they were able to pull it out. Defensively, they played a lot better than they have. So, it's just one of those, you never know what Cowboys team you're going to get. I'm still not sold on them. I don't think they're one of the top teams in the NFC. I think they got a lot of work to do. I think they got to get a running back, even though the running back had a pretty good game last night. Offensive line is, they're losing guys left, right, and center on the offensive line. There's a lot of work to be done there, but they're 3-2, so you got to be happy with that. And I thought, obviously, the drive at the end. You needed a big drive from your star quarterback that you're paying $60 million to, and starting next year, I guess. But then, that he got it done, and I thought it was a great drive. It was a big win for them to do it on the road. So, yeah, it was a late game last night. I was like, I turned it on. I was like, what's going on? Why is this game not on TV? So I think kickoff was like 9:45 Eastern time. So pretty late for a Sunday night. And I think it wrapped up, just almost at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, it was a late game there. But, it was fun watching it and fun that they were able to pull out the win.
Don't you think, though, with that kind of game, maybe just the way that the season's gone for the Cowboys, winning ugly can kind of give them a little bit of a boost going, hey, we didn't have our best, but we still won that game, and now they can maybe, you're saying they're going to have a struggle through the rest of the year, but I think this kind of game for the Cowboys can maybe propel them to a good couple weeks coming up.
Yeah, it's just win, baby, right? They don't ask how, but how many is that the little cliche? And I think that's the thing. Sometimes you got to win games that you don't deserve to win, or sometimes you got to win games where you don't play particularly well. You got to lose games where you play really well. Sometimes it just kind of all evens out in the end. But you're right. They were able to get out of there. Pittsburgh's a tough place to play. Like that's a tough crowd, tough place to play. They're a well-coached team. They've been well-coached for a long, long time. They're a good team right now. Obviously, their starting quarterback is out. Russell Wilson's out. I mean, to see when they bring him back. But it's a tough place to play. But to be able to get a win there was good for the Cowboys. But you're right. It's just a matter of winning. They get on the plane. They go home. It's a good flight. It's a happy flight as opposed to the sad flights. I don't think teams ever won a game and been upset on the flight home. So it's a happy flight. And we've been on some of those happy flights. I used to fly on the charter with the team when I started. So I've seen some of those happy flights there. And I've also seen a lot of sad flights where no one talked. We weren't allowed to talk on the plane on the way home. So, but it was a happy flight home for the Cowboys. And they're still in the mix there to make the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, who knows, anything can happen. So I'm still not convinced they're one of the top teams. I still frustrated by their play calling. And I'm still not a fan of Mike McCarthy. I think, if he doesn't get it done this year, I think he's done.
Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Let's get to the big news here in Edmonton today. Raphael Lavoie claimed by the Vegas Golden Knights. And DVD, you know how the fan base is here. They're very passionate. A lot of concerned fans now that the prospect pool for the Edmonton Oilers is shrinking. What do you make of this move? I mean, this is a guy that wasn't going to be here. Don't know if he's going to fit into the Vegas roster as well, because they're very similar to the Oilers. They're pushing for the Stanley Cup. What do you make of this move?
Well, I think obviously the Oilers are upset. They didn't expect him to get claimed, and I think they're trying to sneak both him and Brown down to the minors, hoping that neither of them got claimed. To me, Lavoie is a guy that's too good for the American Hockey League and not good enough for the NHL. We call them tweeners. They're like stuck in that twilight zone between, you dominate at the NHL level, but you can't really get it done at the next level. So he's got to obviously find that extra step or that extra gear. I thought he had a pretty good camp, but when you're trying to make a team this loaded and trying to make a team this deep, you have to have an exceptional camp. I thought, Noah Philp had an exceptional camp, and they took a long look at him before they sent him down. Of course, he doesn't have to clear waivers, so it's easy to send him down. But I think if Lavoie had an exceptional camp where he stood out every game, I think things might have been a little different. They may have looked at sending someone else down, like the Derek Ryan per se, or a veteran, but he had a strong camp, but it wasn't exceptional, and there wasn't a lot of spots to be won here. But hopefully he goes to Vegas and finds himself. It's a fresh start with a fresh organization, a fresh set of eyes. Maybe they'll see something in him that the Oilers didn't. The issue now, though, is that the Oilers are starting to lose their younger players. It's the third player under 24 that they've lost in the year. So suddenly, no Broberg, no Holloway, no Lavoie. What do they have in the farm? Like, who do they have there? And suddenly the cupboards are getting pretty bare here, especially since they're picking late in the draft. And if those late draft picks don't pan out, then you're in trouble. Lavoie's a second-round pick, so that's another high draft pick that is gone. There's got to be some concern in that regard that, hey, the cupboards are bare. The Oilers are all in. They're all in for this year. They're all in for next year. But you need some youth coming through, and they don't have any right now. And that he was probably their top prospect, and they now they've lost 3 top prospects in the span of 3 months. It's got to be tough, and they got to find some way to refill that. And I talked to Stan Bowman about that, and he's like, yes, right now we're very heavy concentrated on the team here, but we do have to put our focus on the prospects, who's coming through, who do we like, and it's going to be interesting to see if what happens in the American Hockey League, what happens with Bakersfield, and what player emerges. Because you look at that roster right now, there's not a lot of guys that you think will eventually come up and be impact players at the NHL level.
DVD Travis Dermott, the Oilers now have a little over $1.8 million in cap space. All signs are pointing towards he's going to be signed. Is this going to be just a minimum deal that they signed to keep a little bit of reserve for possibly something else down the line?
Yeah, I think so. They'll give him the minimum. I can't see him getting much more than what Troy Stetcher is making. I think Stetcher is at $787. So I think Dermott, as the number 7 guy, will probably get that, whether it's 1 year or 2 years. If he's a guy that had a pretty good camp too, and they say, yeah, he can play at this level. He can play. He can be our number 7 guy. But I do think now the Oilers are looking at, okay, they do have some money to play with now. We have an opportunity, if they need to go get a veteran NHL guy that can kind of solidify that blue line, because that blue line now, it's half of those guys are new on the blue line. You'll see how they play and react to each other, see where they are. Darnell Nurse, is he 100%? He played the last 2 preseason games, but he was bothered by that hip or whatever it was that he had that really kind of limited him in the preseason. So is he going to be up to speed? Is he going to be up to 100%? The Oilers might need help on the back end. They may need some money. So, yeah, Dermott is going to be kind of a safety net for them, a guy they can sign, play as the number 7 guy. He can come in and out of the lineup when needed, when necessary. But, yeah, I don't think the Oilers are done. I think they're going to start the season this way. But I do think that they're looking around and seeing, okay, is there a $2 or $3 million defenseman that we can bring in to help us now? Because the last thing they want to do, they don't want to do the same thing that happened last year where they get in a hole and suddenly got to climb out of this hole. They want things to go smooth and steady, win the Pacific Division. They should win the Pacific Division. If they don't, it'll be catastrophic. There's not a lot of competition in that Pacific Division. They should win that division handily, and then you move on towards the playoffs. But they don't want to have a lot of peaks and valleys this season. They want to kind of keep the boat pretty steady heading into the playoffs.
DVD, there was a switch at practice today. Jeff Skinner swapped spots with Matthias Janmark. Should we read too much into this move, or is it just a kick in the butt for Jeff Skinner, who kind of had a pedestrian preseason?
Yeah, Jeff Skinner is a veteran, and he didn't have a great preseason. And to be honest, I don't put any stock in the preseason. And we were like, some guys were talking about it today. Leon Draisaitl was asked about the preseason, and you got the old smirk from Leon. I love when he does that, when he doesn't like a question. When he doesn't like a question, he'll kind of smirk or roll his eyes or do something like that. And I know, just talking to some guys on the way out of the rink today, hey, the Oilers have gone 8-0 in the preseason. Everybody will be saying, hey, it's just a preseason. Let's not get too excited. So if they don't have a good preseason, people are starting to panic. It's just a preseason. And Draisaitl said it great. He said, hey, it's tough to go from Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final to getting up to playing a preseason game on a Wednesday night. And he's right. He's right. It takes a while to kind of find your legs. They'll get up to the intensity they need. But I think part of this move is because Winnipeg's coming in, and Winnipeg probably has the most balanced lineup of forwards in the NHL. There's not a lot of drop-off between the first line and the fourth line. So they're going to roll those lines. They're kind of come in and roll those lines. And I think this may be more for the opponent. So the Oilers have that balance as well. So they can roll the 4 lines. And I think, Chris Knobloch was asked about that today. And there's got to be adjustments based on the opponent, based on who's coming in. Those 3 probably will see each other. Jeff Skinner probably will play with Leon Draisaitl at some point. But I think Knobloch has that. He's got that luxury now of being able to kind of move guys in different spots, as Jay Woodcroft used to say, we can move the chess pieces in different places. Mm-hmm. So he has that luxury to move guys up and down the lineup. Even fourth line guys like Perry can move up the lineup, and other guys can move up the lineup. So he has remember that? I can't remember that game where they had the squares and you kind of had to move the squares and create the figures. So he's got a chance to kind of move all those squares in the pieces that he wants. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it. I think Jeff Skinner's going to have a good year. He's playing with really talented players. I'd be very, very surprised if he didn't get at least 30 goals this year.
Starting Wednesday, it's for real. Do you the lineup that the Oilers had against the Canucks for the last preseason game? Do you think that's going to? I guess Dermott's the only one that really, if he's signed and goes in. But do you think that's the lineup you're going to see Wednesday night?
Well, yeah, outside of Stuart Skinner and net, I think that's the lineup. So Stu will be he's ready to go. We talked to him today. That's probably the lineup that the Oilers go with. There's not a ton of options, but I think they'll go with that. And I think Stuart Skinner is ready to go. I think a lot's going to depend on him. He's going into this season. This is the first season he's going in as the clear number one guy. There's no one that he's fighting for a spot with. There's no one that he's trying to outplay. He is the number one guy, and this is the first time he's getting the start on opening night, and there's no question who's starting on opening night. Obviously, last year Jack Campbell got the start, didn't go very well, and then the Oilers kind of fell into the ditch after that. So Stuart Skinner needs a good game. He needs to kind of get going, feel good. He needs the team to feel confident, and I think he will. I think just the maturity of Stuart Skinner, nothing seems to bother him. He's just a mature guy. And I think it'll start with him and then move on out, because those defensive pairings, I think are going to take a little while to get used to each other. Because remember, last year the Oilers pretty much went with 6D all season. There wasn't any room for Broberg to get in the lineup, and that was one of the issues last season when Broberg said, "Hey, if I can't play here, you guys got to get rid of me, move me somewhere else." So I think this year it's going to be a little different. There's going to be different combinations on the back end. Obviously, Ekholm and Bouchard is going to be a pairing, but I do think there's going to be some movement back there, depending how guys play with each other and then have a feel for each other.
Derek, let's switch gears here. You don't cover the Elks, but I know you've been to a lot of games. Officially eliminated on Saturday from playoff contention. They have 2 games left here. What do you see in this offseason? What would you do if you're in charge of the Edmonton Elks?
Well, it's interesting. I'm a season ticket holder now, so I don't cover the team, but I'm a season ticket holder. So I go to as many games as I can. I enjoy going to those games. I really love the CFL. What I saw is a team self-destruct again and again and again. And it's just one of those things. I don't know whether it's coaching or I don't know whether it's just the players. They kind of, the fumbles at the end, the penalties at the end. They did everything they could to throw that game away. And they had their chances to win. I think next year you got to come in with you got to either go with Trey Ford or let go of Trey Ford. Like, you can't be, is he our guy? Is he not our guy? Is Bethel Thompson our guy? Is he not our guy? I'm not a huge Bethel Thompson fan, to be honest with you. I don't think he's got a great arm. He's got no mobility. He doesn't extend plays. I like Trey Ford. He's exciting, but I don't know what's going on over there with Trey Ford. For whatever reason, they seem to kind of pass him over. I just think they're heading in the right direction. They do have some very talented players. They're heading in the right direction, but I think they got to clean up those mistakes. So you can't clean up, you're driving the ball down the field and you get the fumble and that kills a drive. You stop them on a 2nd down and 10, you get a penalty, that extends a drive. Like, those little things, good football teams don't make those mistakes. They don't have all those penalties. So to me, that all goes back to coaching and being prepared and doing what you have to do during the week to be prepared to play at the end of the week. And I just don't think that football team right now is prepared at all. So it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen with this coaching staff, whether they bring in a new coaching staff and kind of go in a different direction, a new philosophy, because I don't think it's working with this one. It's not working when it comes to personnel. It's not working when it comes to those little things that this team just keeps throwing the ball away, throwing the game away. And it's frustrating when you're a fan because you want them to succeed. It was a great crowd, I thought, the other night. We had a lot of fun. It was a perfect day for football. It was fantastic. And you just need the team to kind of get through those big moments and just not throw games away.
Great stuff, DVD. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Gets going for real tomorrow on Wednesday for the Edmonton Oilers, 8 o'clock as they host the Winnipeg Jets. I'm sure we'll have you on very shortly to break down the first week of the Edmonton Oilers. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's Derek Van Diest, NHL.com, here on EST Afternoons. We're going to get to a break here. Last segment coming up on the Monday edition. It's been a fun show. Our first show ever, we got Leon Draisaitl signing, which was amazing. And then on this Monday, we get the Raphael Lavoie.
Yeah, huge news.
Huge news.
I wonder if if the Knights send him down, that the Oilers would pick him back up, or just, you know what?
I think they would.
You think they would?
Yeah.
I don't know if they would.
Because DVD said they're obviously upset that they lost him. So that's pretty telling to me. That they probably wanted to sneak him through, just make sure no one grabbed him. And then because Vegas lost Zach Aston Reese today to waiver.
Oh, right. They lost a player too.
Yeah, he was picked up. I can't remember by who. I think Zach knows.
I'm pretty sure it's Columbus. Let me check here. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's just those cupboards are so bare right now. And DVD said it, right? He believes that Lavoie is a guy that is too good for the NHL. He's that in those weird spots, right? Where if it was an expansion year, guys like him would be tops of the line because teams just couldn't afford to protect them, and they would start at a new place. That's what Vegas did a masterful job of finding. Or maybe there was just a plethora of those guys that were available, but a lot of those guys were just in that weird position where they weren't cracking top six of teams, and they were able to build a monster.
Scalding Gourd, we'll get to this one before break, says Mark Stone had the same basic scouting report as Raphael. Can score, but inconsistent. NHL size, but maybe a tweener. But Stone's skating was rated lower. I hope he does well. That's an interesting comparison. Mark Stone was a 6th round pick. Raphael Lavoie is a 2nd round pick. I mean, Mark Stone didn't spend a lot of time in the minors. He played, I think, 54 and 37 games in the minors, and then he's always been in the NHL. And it's been a progression for him. But if you look at his first full season, he had 64 points right off the hop. So maybe his pedigree is just a little bit better. Now, again, we don't know because Lavoie is not going to get top 6 minutes here like Stone did in Ottawa.
No.
Right?
Well, he's not getting 69 points on the third line.
No, of course not. Of course not. Unless unless the Oilers were lacking depth and he's playing with Draisaitl or McDavid.
Yeah.
Right?
And even then, you never know, right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, we're both a little bit older, and we've always said, like, how many guys have we seen put up crazy numbers in the AHL, get the call up, and then they can't produce at the same level? Because there's a reason why one's the minor leagues and one's the NHL, right?
There's so many of those guys. Like, the amount of guys that I played with that if you were to watch them on a regular basis and go, how are you not in the NHL? Like, you're amazing, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's crazy. We'll also get to this day in sports history. I know Gager's going to like a few of the ones I found online today. That's all coming up here on EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk. Here is Zachticum with a update.
The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers, and Drake Caggiula, Josh Brown, and Olivier Rodrigue go unclaimed and will report back to the Bakersfield Condors. Other claims saw Zach Aston Reese heading to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. It was the Washington Capitals signing Jakub Vrana to a 1-year, $775K deal on a one-way. He was in the PTO camp and will be on their opening roster submission. In Minnesota, the Wild have extended goaltender Jesper Wallstedt to a 2-year, $4.4 million deal. Wallstedt spent most of the year last year in the AHL, playing just 3 games for the big club. Texans wide receiver Nico Collins' injury status has changed from day to day to week. Collins suffered a hamstring injury midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Chiefs Saints tonight to close out week 5 of the NFL, where you could join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Barn Lounge for kickoff just after 6. MLB playoffs see the Tigers meeting the Guardians, who are up 1-0 while the Royals visit the Yankees to try and even up the series at 1 apiece. Right after the break, it's the final segment of EST Afternoons on this Monday edition. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
If I made 200,000 miles, I wouldn't be here. No. But 775 at the top.
It's 2:48 Monday afternoon, a wonderful Monday afternoon. Sunny, plus 20. Tomorrow's supposed to be around the same, Gage. We're getting some nice weather here in October. So
beautiful out there.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can before the white stuff arrives here. It's Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas. It's been a fun show on Monday. Man, Wednesday's going to be wild, Gager.
Well, tomorrow's going to be wild. It's the preseason skate. There's some games tomorrow night. So just the start of the kickoff of everything.
And we're going to have our predictions tomorrow, NHL and Oiler predictions
to do.
Zach's going to be in it as well.
We got baseball. We got the Monday Nighter to talk about, which should be, hopefully it's good with the Chiefs tonight. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Do have some Oiler news. I'm just trying to double check here. Yes, here we go. So they have recalled Matt Savoy from Bakersfield, the Edmonton Oilers. This is coming from Jamie Cartmill, player relations manager for the Edmonton Oilers. And the Edmonton Oilers have signed Cameron Wright to a 1-year, 2-way contract with an AAV of $952. Obviously, that's and then the forward scored 12 goals and 9 assists in 48 games with the Condors last season.
Okay.
So what do you make of this, Gager?
I don't know who this is. So
no, about Savoy getting called up.
Savoy, interesting. So obviously that didn't. I thought we'd see the same lineup.
We might still. He might be the 13th guy,
but he's not added yet on Puckpedia. But yeah, no, that's interesting to hear. If he's going to play, I don't think we'll see him starting opening night. But
Brett B says, wonder if it's just cap management. Could be. And Neil says, depth is restored. Cam Wright. I don't know who Cam Wright is. I'm sorry, but obviously played with the Condors last year, and he's going to be down in the minors, obviously. But Matt Savoy one's interesting.
Very interesting with Matthew Savoy.
Does that mean... Well, because they were sending down their forwards. They sent down 3 forwards.
Yeah, maybe it's a roster move. Who knows?
It might be cap.
Yeah,
related,
this might be a cap thing that they're doing before the start.
I'll keep my eyes on Puckpedia here in the next 5 minutes to see, because they always have a good breakdown and explain it to us that don't really understand the cap stuff. But yeah, it's interesting.
Puckpedia does have a really good kind of website to start to read about it all, because it has all the different what it means, offer sheets, Even has the Luongo recapture.
So we're kind of the people that are saying cap. It's cap management they're on the right track. Dusty Nielsen just texted me, says Savoy likely just a paper transaction for cap purposes.
Yes.
So don't read too much into it. Let's just leave it at that. I know people are going to get super excited right now.
Oh, it's great. I can't wait.
He is not going to center the fourth line.
But DVD brought up something that I should have thought about being a goalie. But yeah, it's Stuart Skinner, the man.
Yeah.
Like no
one.
Not last year where, Coach Woodcroft said, like, it's the number one job is up for grabs. I could see why he said that from how playoffs went and things and just the youth of Stuart Skinner at that point.
Yeah.
But, it's, I think that's just a little bit less to think about. Not that I don't think it bothered Stuart Skinner, but I can guarantee it's at the back of his mind that he wants to be the number one guy. And this way, I liked his preseason. Didn't light the world on fire, but he did make some good saves, getting his car in the right window, so to speak, and just being able to come to camp and focus on yourself, just getting ready for game one because you're going to be counted on is really important. So look for Stuart Skinner to really. I think he'll hit the ground running. Although I thought in those first few games last year, Jack Campbell actually played a little bit better than Stuart Skinner, but Stuart Skinner, after a game where they lost, was talking about his game and he liked where it was at. And that's a guy that's supremely confident with how he knows that, look, it's only a matter of time before everything starts fitting. I always tell this story about Carey Price in junior.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the goalie coach going in to talk to Carey Price in Tri-Cities, and he went to watch the game and they just got blown out, like 12-2 or something like that. And he's thinking, how am I going to approach this guy? He allowed 12 goals. So he goes and talks to Carey Price. He goes, Carey, I'm here. And how do you think you did? He goes, well, I think I did pretty good. I stopped like 3 breakaways at the end. I made some really good saves. And here's a guy that can put everything in the rearview mirror, right? You could just a different breed. I'd be, again, sucking my thumb in the fetal position in the corner of the dressing room after a game like that where Carey Price, I didn't play that bad, And that's what I think you see with Stuart Skinner.
Bronco Nick says, to accrue the maximum allowable on LTIR, you need to be as close to the cap limit as you can on day one. So we're getting more clarification. That's what we kind of thought because Matt Savoy wasn't going to play. Like we both looked at each other when I kind of announced it. But yeah, it's definitely what we thought it would be. It's just cap maneuvering for the Edmonton Oilers. Loomis says, I'd rather let Nielsen punch me in the face than bring Josh Brown back up. Oh boy, we got to stop. We got to stop with that.
Scolding Gord with a great one. Oilers shifted Jeff Skinner down a line, so he wants a trade to a non-playoff team. That's funny. No, I don't think so.
Because he's never played a playoff game. I think Skinner's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Like
the excitement to play with good players and a chance to play games that matter. Not being the one thing is he's usually Buffalo starts all right though. And then they're done.
They're 0-2.
Yeah, they're done by February, kind of.
Did you see the clever tweet by the Devils after their 2-game sweep of them in the Global Series?
No.
So the arena they're playing is called the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
And they put a dash and they said, we always knew this was the Sabres arena.
Very nicely done.
I feel for Buffalo is very similar to the Oilers' Decade of Darkness. They just can't figure it out. And they got some quality players. Like we were talking about their back end a few weeks ago, like Byram, Dahlin, Power.
Yeah.
Like they got some ballers there.
Oh, they have one of the best young decors in the league. The only I put that it's tough because they're still with Power. He's still feeling it, but he's a good defenseman too.
Oh yeah.
But I mean the other one I always look at is the Golden Knights. But if they can keep that trio together, that's
deadly.
That is something else. They'll have to move one of them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Well, I mean, if it's those three, you're moving Byram. I'm not moving Dahlin or Power.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah, we'll see where he's at.
Loomis says he was joking, by the way. We know, Loomis. We know you're not serious. This day in sports history, 2002, the Capitals acquire Rosie Mike Greer.
Oh, did they?
For a second and a third, and the third became Zach Stortini. Remember
really?
Huggy Bear?
Yeah. Oh, Huggy Bear.
1991, the Rangers named Mark Messier as their new captain. A dark day for the Edmonton Oilers because they would go on to win in 94. What a run by that team. And a lot of Edmonton Oilers on that team.
Yeah, it was
Former
basically
Edmonton Oilers.
the old Oilers.
And non-hockey related this day in sports in 2001, Barry Bonds hit his 73rd home run of the season and set a new major league record.
Yeah, old juiced up Bonds.
Yes, we're getting closer to the start of the NHL season, and the Edmonton Oilers, of course, on Wednesday, 8 o'clock against the Winnipeg Jets. Tomorrow the season kicks off. We're going to have another fun show. Keep teeing up the Edmonton Oilers, talking CFL, NFL, MLB, all things sports here on EST Afternoons. We got to go. Reed Wilkins show is coming up next with Jay Milne. They have a fantastic show coming up. They got Luke Gazdick, they got CC as well, and Jed Roberts. And don't forget to send a happy birthday to Glue Guy, Jay Milne, as he celebrates another one.
41
42 or something.
Yeah,
like
ask him
that.
about his I gave him a birthday gift.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the Reed Wilkins show. For Joaquin Gage and Zachticum, I'm Hernan Salas. This is EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk. We'll talk tomorrow. Ciao.